to what is called Islamic conquests, and I prefer to call them Muslim conquests. They are conquests by the Muslims, but not for the sake of Islam. Islam does not oblige Muslims to make conquests. But it is the Muslims themselves, it is the trend of the time that any powerful king tries to prove his power by extending his land and his monarchy. Some of these, first, let us put some clear distinction between the early conquests or the early wars and the later wars. The early wars in the time of the Prophet, all of them, not most of them, all of the battles of the Prophet were defensive. He was attacked and Islam was attacked, and the Muslims were forced to go from Mecca to Medina and to live in another place. And this is important, and this is was really a big thing, a big incident with regard to Arabia. It was something very serious to go from your birthplace to another place and to leave your tribe to another tribe. This was not easy. So with regard to the Prophet, he was forced to do so, and all his battles were just to defend himself. Even the first battle, which is Badr, it is not, some people say that the Muslims went to seize or to capture a caravan, commercial caravan of their enemy. So this is a sort of assault. This is an attack. This is aggressive. They ignore the fact that this caravan, all the profits of the commerce in it were put for the sake of fighting Islam. Quraysh had a sort of agreement that any profit from this caravan will be used in fighting Muhammad and fighting the Muslims. So Muslims tried to take this caravan in advance so that it might not be turned against them by taking the profits and turning them to swords and arrows and spears to attack Muslims in Medina. The early wars of the caliphs, and I mean here the early caliphs from Abu Bakr to Ali, the area or the period which is called or described as the period of the wise caliph, al-Rashidin, al-Khulafa al-Rashidin. All there happened, of course it happened that there were fights and there were wars and there was extension of land. But in the time of Abu Bakr, it was just to secure the borders of Arabia, the peninsula only, not to go beyond Arabia. But when some of the enemies of Islam began to use the utmost north borders to gather there in Tabuk to attack Islam, since the last days of the Prophet, and were supported by the Byzantines in such an aggression, then the Muslims began to secure the northern borders, and this led to the first confrontation with the Byzantines, because the Byzantines started.